The infanticide. The Jews believed that Moses had taught them that every firstborn son belonged to the Lord, and that such a son had to be redeemed by his parents by paying 5 shekels to a priest authorized to do so. There was also a legal precept that a woman had to appear in the temple within a few weeks after giving birth to be cleansed. So, Joseph and Mary went to the temple in Jerusalem to ransom Jesus and to offer the sacrifice that would ceremonially cleanse Mary of the perceived uncleanness of childbirth. In the court of the temple, there were often 2 elderly people, Simeon, a singer, and Anna, a poet. These 2 were often in each other's company and were close friends of the priest Zachariah, who had confidentially told them the secret of John and Jesus. Simeon and Anna both longed for the coming of the Messiah, and because they trusted Zachariah, they believed that Jesus would be the expected Savior of the Jewish people. Zachariah knew on which day Joseph and Mary would come to the temple, and he had agreed beforehand with Simeon and Anna that by raising his hand in greeting, he would indicate which child in the procession of firstborns was Jesus. Anna had written a poem for the occasion, which Simeon began to sing, to the amazement of all those gathered in the temple courts. Here is part of their hymn of praise on the occasion of the release of the firstborn son. Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, for he has visited us and brought about redemption for his people. He has established a horn of salvation for us all in the house of his servant David, as he has spoken by the mouth of his holy prophets, delivered from our enemies and from the hand of all who hate us, to show mercy to our fathers and keep his holy covenant, the oath he swore to Abraham our father, so that we, delivered from the hand of our enemies, could serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all our days. Yes, and you, child of promise, will be called the prophet of the Most High. For you will go forth before the Lord to establish his kingdom, to give knowledge of salvation to his people, to shine upon those who are seated in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet in paths of peace. Now, O Lord, let your servant go in peace according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared before the face of all nations, a light that will remove even the veils from the eyes of the Gentiles. On their journey back to Bethlehem, Joseph and Mary were silent. Something gnawed at Joseph. It didn't feel right to him that his son was being labeled so early as the expected Messiah of the Jewish people. This event caused unrest within certain circles in Jerusalem. Messianic expectations were high, and this group needed only half a word. The Song of Simeon was written down, and in the following weeks, this story spread through Judea. Even King Herod heard about this event, and it alarmed him. When a few days later, the sages from the east, who were looking for the child of light, came to inquire at his royal palace, his suspicion turned to mistrust. The priests were not allowed into the palace, and the old king did not hear about the visit of the sinful priests from Mesopotamia until later. Herod summoned these Chaldeans to appear before him. These priests were not seen again in Jerusalem until a week later, after they had paid homage to Jesus. They were brought before the king, and he questioned these wise men deeply about the new king of the Jews. But they gave him little cause for reassurance with their explanation that a royal child had come into the world at Bethlehem. As Herod was not satisfied with this answer, he sent them away with a purse of money and instructed them to look for the baby and to let him know where it lived, so that he himself might go there to worship it. When time passed and the wise men did not return, he made an effort to find out which family in Bethlehem it was. He became angry when, after the necessary detective work, no one could tell him where the baby was now. He then sent out spies to search for the whereabouts of Joseph and Mary. However, Zechariah heard from a courtier friend that Herod wanted to track down the family from Nazareth, and he had Joseph warned to be very careful. And he himself no longer dared to show himself in Bethlehem. From that time on, little Jesus was kept hidden. Joseph dared not go looking for work from then on, and their few savings quickly ran out. When, after a long time of searching, Herod's spies had not yet discovered Jesus but had strong suspicions that the baby was being hidden somewhere in Bethlehem, Herod issued an edict specifying that every house in Bethlehem was to be systematically searched and all little boys under the age of 2 were to be killed. In this way, Herod hoped to ensure that he would eliminate the future king of the Jews. And so, on this sad day, 16 little boys found death in Bethlehem. The massacre of these little children took place in the middle of October in the year 6 BC. But the same courtier of Herod had warned Zechariah just in time, and the latter, in turn, sent a messenger to Joseph. On the night before the massacre, Joseph and Mary fled with the baby from Bethlehem to Egypt. They went to Alexandria with money from Zechariah, and Joseph practiced his profession there, moving in with wealthy relatives of Joseph. They stayed in Alexandria for 2 full years and did not return until after Herod's death.